try this out. Subscribe to earn drops. What the fuck does that mean? All right, what do we want? What kind of music? It's good enough for now. Doesn't matter much. Okay. There's that there. Go away. Don't show again. Very good. Okay. Here's an idea. What if we did it like this? Maybe something like this. Let's try this. It's not so bad. I mean, I only draw on the left side of the screen. Not a big deal. Okay, so Old school. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Man, look at this. Much more mature art style. Here. 1992. But here, the beginning. 1984. Nearly a decade separating this art style from this one. These are hey, that's a cool angle. All right. And it's interesting. As referenced by many, this comic owes a lot to Frank Miller and the Daredevil origin. But especially in poses like this, I feel like we see the Frank Miller. Very graphic. But we're going to do some studies. When I was a kid, we had this comic. Now, it was the graphic novel version from 1991, probably. You know? It's hanging around. And let's see, when did the cartoon come out? I feel like it was the same time as The Simpsons, but I don't know. Ugh, Jesus Christ. 1987. All right, cool. So between 1984 and 1987, we went from this art style to something that was literally everywhere across the globe. Amazing. According to this, it was the first cartoon adaptation of an independent comic book series. Amazing. Lighter tone was adapted to appeal to younger audience. Amazing stuff. Okay. All right, doesn't matter. Let's get into it. Let me do it like this. Hey, Namina. I was messing around with the audio, so if it's sounding atrocious, looks like it might be. Let me know. We're doing a little bit of a departure from the Zelda stuff, even though I'm playing the Zelda music. We're doing some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. It's great music, yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna put this as a reference on top here. So I am 42. And the Ninja Turtles comic came out when I was, I don't know, 2 years old? Something like that. Like, it's an old comic. Hey, Danny. We're doing this thing. Let's do it. Okay. And I'm out of the stream habit because my whole family has been sick. So I'm doing my best, but you know, there might be some scuff. This will be like a chill stream. Nothing happens and it just doesn't matter. These are so crazy. So bad. We're gonna explore this stream will be about sort of exploring a little bit about how janky art eventually goes good if you just keep attacking it. You know what I should have done? Yeah, it's a weird shape. Yeah. A lot of it is counterintuitive. Eventually it mellowed out and made sense. You know, I forgot, but I'm going to do this now. Okay. Let me put this away. So I used to be able to draw a pretty credible Ninja Turtle. From like memory. Now this was a long time ago, but let me try. Let me try. We'll see. We'll see if I suck at it. Draw it the way I would have at the time. It's so bad. Over 2 toes. Something about anthropomorphic anatomy, like bodies. It helps take the sting out of, like, if you study human anatomy and you get it wrong, like you feel like you're like, oh, I'm an idiot. I don't even know my own anatomy. So then when you study like animal anatomy, you can get a little bit wrong, but you're like, okay, but I'm learning because I'm not an animal like a horse, you know. Remember these bulky poses like this. Yeah, I just started now. Is it all messed up? Hold on. But yeah, just started. It's the right idea. There was a time when I was in like first and second grade. This would have been like 1989, 1990. This is a world without Simpsons. It's hard to imagine that. And Danny, I know you can't imagine a world without Family Guy probably, but there was a world where Family Guy was new, South Park was new. These squashed Goomba heads. Am I doing this right? It's so funny. I would normally make that bigger. Jesus Christ. It just sort of underscores, like, you know, you need to... No matter how many times I read the comic, like, first time I drew this, like, I drew it from reference, and I did a study, even though I was probably 10 years old. Probably drew a better version than this. Oh yeah, and they had those belts. Katanas. Ninja stars. Nobody even knew what a ninja was before Ninja Turtles came on the scene. That's the crazy thing. Practically invented the martial arts genre for kids. And they've got these bandages on their knees, and it's like... You have to wonder, it's like, is that because they didn't want to draw the anatomy of the knee? Yeah. Okay, so this is some Ninja Turtles. Just, I mean, I guess I have the reference right here, but it's like, this is like how I would draw it from my imagination back in the day. So you can tell I've got a little bit of mileage on this stuff. It's not nothing. It's not nothing from nothing, right? All right, I'll turn that off. But we're gonna do some studies. The reality is that okay, here's the lesson: is that from whenever this came out, when did okay. First publication of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic was on April 16th. Why is that so familiar? April 16th. Oh, it's tax day. Tax day, 1984. One of the co-creators posted on Facebook by receiving the first print at Mirage Studios. Interesting. Oh, these are great covers. Okay, so this is interesting. Look at this cover. Look at this cover. This is the pose. This is what I tried to draw just now. This is what I studied back in the day. So, hold on. Oh my gosh. So this is funny. So if we... Can I do this? Yeah. Anyway, tax day, 1984. Within 3 years, this little comic had exploded into the world as a cartoon series that made the creators insanely rich. Insanely rich. And like, same artist here versus here, but look at the maturity of the art style. They made their own break. It's something to behold. And so literally, when I'm talking about like, my dad had these graphic novels laying around, it was literally this book, this book, this book, and this book. I'm not talking about other versions. It was these collected graphic novels, and I guess it was this first publishing. I guess that was it. They made 3 whole movies out of what was in, you know, when they ran out of ideas, they just went back to the books. And they're like, cool, you know, whatever. The Technodrome was a new thing. Technodrome did not exist in the books, but in like the 3rd movie. See, Danny, did you ever see like the 3rd movie? Like, that's like Ninja Turtles is like, I don't know how I might convince my kids that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were a cool thing, but they certainly were. Look at this J. How do you make a J like that? That's crazy. So Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were the I think Peter Laird was the artist. Kevin Eastman was, I guess, the brains. I don't know. Don't know what he did. He made a big name for himself later on by being a publisher and a you know, he married a pinup model, and you know, so goes it. You know, cool guy, you know. You know, if you want like a good example of the rock and roll version of a comic book artist lifestyle, that's the way to go. Okay, so this is like a shit. We're gonna bury that. That can go away. Let's do a study of this. Jeez. This is funny because it's like you can tell someone took their comics and just laid them out on the carpet just by like the periphery. It just looks like a super shitty like Vegas carpet. But like, these are cool. So we did the shit version. Let me do a somewhat competent. Yeah, they all had the red mask. Their only differentiation was in the personalities within the context of the comic. Because they would act differently, but you could only tell them apart physically by the sword differentiation. And then Raphael had a predilection for... Raphael and Michelangelo had a predilection for going out without their masks on in the comic books. Okay, so this is the funny thing, is I remember my dad telling me that... I remember asking him, I was like, hey, Dad, why didn't they make the cartoon look the same as the comic books if it's based on the comic books? And my dad told me it's because in the comic books they all had tiny turtle tails that looked like penises, and they needed to get rid of them. And it's kind of interesting because it's very true. Basically in every picture they've got these turtle tails that hang out between their legs and look like dicks. And, we can see how that's playing out right here. Which is kind of, I mean, that's cool for what it is, but you can see why for like Saturday morning cartoons, they had to make a different decision. All said and done, these are amazing. Oh, I didn't mean to, here, let me turn this off. Yeah, I'm not sick right now. I'm not sick. I thought I was sick. Turns out I wasn't sick. Turns out everybody else was sick. I'm tired, but I'm not sick. Okay, so do a quick little study. I'll leave it to my dad to notice everybody's penises. But yeah, it was pretty obvious. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's just try and do... because this is a cool pose. It's interesting. I don't know why, but their heads always reminded me of hamburgers. They're like layered. They're sort of sandwiched with like a skull on top and then a bandana with eyes. Bandana with squinting eyes. And then this sort of like another layer of mouth. Mouth with attitude. You're looking at the comic and you see all the penises. Yeah, there you go. And you're correct that without the weapons to differentiate them, there really wasn't much. That said, I learned a lot of anatomy from Ninja Turtles. There's no such thing as like perfect anatomical comic book references, but there was something that was working here. They really simplified midsection. Obviously, like their abs, like they had like it's their whole chest is like a window. It's like 4 squares, right? And then a belt and then 2 triangles at the bottom. Below that, you had everything else, but I guess that's the advantage of making a comic about mutants, is you can sort of explain away everything imperfect by just saying, yeah, well, they're mutants, you know. Of course his elbow is messed up. He's a mutant. Everything else was just a vibe. Keep the first attempt. I still have it. Here, it's here. Wait, where is it? No, that's not it. Here it is. It's not so bad. It's not a bad. It's not a bad attempt for from memory. Yeah. Danny, do I sound good-ish? Do I sound normal-ish? Let me know if the audio sucks. Just kind of messing around with things. I sound good? Okay, I mean, I'll take good. I don't need to sound perfect. Oh. I gotta do this. Hold on. Oh, shit. My phone is dead. I wanted to, hang on. Later on. I'll do this, but I went to Universal Studios today. Yeah, there's good anatomy here. Stuff is gold. It's not like it was good anatomy. It was like... It was vibe first, anatomy second. We can look at other examples where there are so many, like these covers are one thing. I sound better than last time. Oh, that's good to hear. These covers are one thing. The cover art is always better than the interior art of the comic. This is the cover art for the graphic novel reprint. You know, these are not the original. It's not the original art that went on the comic originally, right? That stuff was probably garbage. Nevertheless, within 3 years, this very immature sort of started as a joke, kind of a comic, because the whole kid crossing the... There's something about the analogy of... someone probably has done a YouTube video that's better than what I'll explain, but the whole origin story of Ninja Turtles is basically a satire of the origin story of Daredevil. Because there's like a blind person trying to cross a street and somebody tries to help him or stop him or something, but anyway, the only difference is in the Ninja Turtle story, that person is carrying like a tank full of turtles. And then they get covered with like radioactive slime. It's like the whole thing was a send up to all the worst tropes in like comic book origin stories. These guys were essentially trolling the comic book industry. Did I finish the drawing of the girl with the robot in front of her? No, I haven't done that. I haven't finished that yet. That's still where I left it. I want to finish it, and I will. Yeah, I'll get there. It isn't a, you know. If I give up on something, I'll make it known. But that is I'm trying to be there's a difference between like I got to get this out of me in a rough form versus like I got to finish this. Sometimes those are different impulses. It's kind of looking cool now. Wasn't looking good too long ago, but kind of like how it's looking now. Danny, did you ever play any of the like Ninja Turtles arcade games, for instance? Like Ninja Turtles was one of those rare properties where like they were constantly, it felt like every year they doubled down on it and it got better and better. And that's so rare now. Where like instead of fumbling, they were not really, yeah. The between like 1987, I guess, and whatever, 1997, like Ninja Turtles just got more real. Like with every passing year, it was just sort of like this thing that it not only didn't go away, it like arguably got cooler. The Nickelodeon show, yeah. I mean, that probably came out 20 years after the fact. Let's find some Ninja Turtles music. That's kind of a rip-off one. That sucks. Let's see here. Nope. These are all gonna suck. Yeah, nope. Okay. We can do better. The heavy metal playlists for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are pretty amazing. I just don't want the AI versions. Let's see here. Try this. Get a grip. That was pretty rad. All right, here we go. Dig that. Pokemon has better music. I don't think so. But it's not a competition. Anyway. Just happy to have my life trending back to normal again. When your life, I mean, when your loved ones get sick, you can't do anything. It's not even like you don't really even, you want to do things, but you also like don't really want to do anything. You kind of get in this state where you just want to hold your breath. Until they can breathe. Then you kind of give yourself permission to do the same. So just a little bit of fun tonight. Long-awaited levity. The Ninja Turtle thing is a I mean, more broadly speaking, I'm not going to be as constrained. So if I feel like doing some different fan art, if I get triggered by something comes up and I get like, holy moly, that song stimulated my brain, and now I can't stop thinking about that one part of Final Fantasy VII or something, you know, or Resident Evil. Then it's on, you know. I'm like the Manchurian Candidate. I'm gonna do what I'm programmed to do. Funny, it's deep-seated then, but I didn't have the time or the means. I still don't have the time, but now I have the means and I'm more efficient with my time. That's funny. The first attempt has a smaller head. Yeah, I made the head too I made the head too big here, or a little too squat here. No, that's wrong. Whoops. But no. Something probably closer. You know what it is? It's probably closer to this. No. Yeah, no. You know what? I just did it perfect the first time. That's how you gotta do it. No, it was more like this. The original sketch. But I don't care right now about getting that stuff perfectly. It just doesn't matter right now. I can fix it doing other shit, like shaving down these shoulders. There, now it's perfect. No one would know. Right? It's funny how that works. Tomorrow I will probably, so I'm not going to do, I'll probably just do this and then like go to bed in a minute. Kind of feels like that's how it's going. Here, I'll show you something though in a second. Hold on. Where's my pictures? I'm going to attempt to send photos from my day to my computer here. It'll be good if it works out. I don't work tomorrow. That's it. So I didn't work today and I don't work tomorrow. I don't know if I work ever again. That's the crazy part of being me. Okay, it's sending right now. So, as opposed to pushing it as far as humanly possible tonight, it's just not necessary. Yeah, this Ninja Turtle looks good. But this is, so Danny, this is the point, is within 3 years of drawing way worse than this, these guys were drawing, Jesus Christ. These guys were drawing like this in 1984. And then 3 years later, they were drawing, you know, obviously much better, but it didn't even matter because it just didn't matter. It didn't matter. It wasn't the drawing, right? And the design, it was the vibe. It was 100% the vibe. And it was the same thing with my friend who did Adventure Time. That guy had, I would qualify as poor drawing skills, far below your skill and ability. It's a vibe. I don't know if it's even about the storytelling, because all these guys did was rip off other people's stories with a different vibe, right? I'm not saying you do that. Like, I'm not saying rip off, like do the story, right? Do it differently, do your thing, but it's not it was like they took very familiar things and then just skinned them with something else, and it just exploded. The concept of The Simpsons, for instance, is very much based on the concept of like the Jetsons or the Flintstones, right? The something, the Jetsons, the Flintstones, the Simpsons. Harry Potter is similar to Star Wars. It's very similar. However, I'll give the writing style in the books a little bit of credit for being decent written British comedy. So I've unfortunately had to read some of those books to my wife, and they have their quality to them. But yes, exactly. Very similar to Star Wars. A lot of Indiana Jones is based on old Uncle Scrooge comics, which I'm a big fan of, and other types of things. And The Rocketeer is the same thing, and blah, 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 blah. So, but what I'm saying is, like, a lot of people chase what's new, and you really have to sort of like think about like what is like what's old, and then you make it new again, right? So like that's why people vibe with either ideas, because it reminds them of something without knowing. That's exactly correct. Exactly. They're like, this is familiar, but it's skinned so differently that I don't recognize that it's familiar. You know how like people who I was about to say people who are idiots, but I'm like, most people like repeat history, right? They're like, I gotta get away from this bad boyfriend or something, you know, just stereotypically speaking, get away from this person, right? And then they go and they get in a relationship with someone who's exactly the same, but they're blind to it, like they don't see it because it's skinned differently, right? Or like a show, they're like, oh man, this show's amazing, and it's like, no, this show is the same thing as Lost. It's just it's skinned differently, and you don't recognize that it's going to disappoint you the same way, or whatever. You know, there are 1,000 different things. I don't know exactly how Ninja Turtles fits in there, other than like, you know, they started out as a satire and a spoof, but actually very quickly became their own thing. So it's not like it's like, you know, use these ideas as like jumping off points. Like, I don't know, like you have in your series, like you've got these like cartoon characters, and they're all female. And it's like, what can you draw from? Is it like, only because this like leaps to mind, is this like an I Love Lucy situation where you've got like these, I don't know, like what if Lucy from I Love Lucy had 2 daughters, and you know Ricky wasn't in the situation, or something like that? What would that be? You know, or whatever. Even if it just reminded, it's just like a thought, you know. It doesn't have to be that. It could be anything, you know. But everything is based on what came before, right? So it just makes sense to, in my opinion, to like think of things as, given like the 2 paths, like should I study what's popular now, or should I study what's popular in the past? What I do, and what I would recommend to other people, because nobody does this, is study the past and the fundamentals, because that is something that nobody looks at because it feels like it's irrelevant, but it's the only relevant thing. The modern stuff is only ever based on the fundamentals. So no matter what, you're going back. And so just go back. Just go back and look at it and riff. Did Chespirito copy someone? I bet you he did. I bet you he did. And probably what those acts were is something out of like a kind of like vaudeville. Do you know what vaudeville is? You don't know what vaudeville is. Oh, okay. There we go. This is a so pretty much all vaudeville is a theatrical genre of variety entertainment originating in France in 19th century and popular in the United States and Europe. It typically featured a mixed bill of acts, including comedians, singers, dancers, and animal acts. And vaudeville, so light, humorous songs, vaudeville, a farce with music. Ooh, hurly-burly, you know, puppeteers, people in costumes. Most of early American cinema is based on vaudeville, right? And vaudeville was just this sort of like act on the road. That's how you should think of it. It's just this sort of familiar act on the road, you know? Theater, maybe. Let's try typing something. So, Espirito vaudeville. Let's just see. It's not leaping out in terms of coincidences, so you know, take it with a grain of salt. But you know, he played lots of different characters. Yeah, not a lot, but he played lots of different characters. Yes, no. So maybe there's some of that, you know. There's a certain amount of reminds me of some of like Daffy Duck in costume. Cartoon. Ooh, hard to a little hard to quite nail down, but the this sort of like it's wabbit season, it's duck season, it's wabbit season, it's duck season. He's not proving me wrong. No, he isn't. Have you heard of like have you heard of who's on first, what's on second? That kind of please tell me. You haven't heard of who's on first and what's on second. Oh my god, okay. Who's on first? Let's just see. This is it's an important piece of vaudeville. Okay, hang on. To be honest, I'm not sure if I've ever seen this all the way through.
Will you keep quiet? Sebastian!
Excuse me, please.
Sebastian, please. Don't interrupt my act. Sebastian!
Oh, Mr. Broadhurst, I didn't see the lights there. I forgot about them.
What in the world are you doing? Why interrupt my act like this?
Well, look, Mr. Broadhurst, I mean, after all, if you're in a ballpark, they always sell peanuts and popcorns and things like that.
I know that, Sebastian, but not in front of him. I beg his pardon, friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, and also the children, will you excuse me for a minute, please? Thank you.
What do you want to do?
Look, Mr. Broadhurst,
Right. What are you doing?
I love baseball.
Well, we all love baseball.
When we get to St. Louis, will you tell me the guys' names on the team so when I go to see them in that St. Louis ballpark, I'll be able to know those fellas?
Well, now, is it all right, folks? All right.
Excuse me,
All
I
right.
want to find out the fellas' names.
As long as it's okay with the
I'm
audience.
crazy about baseball.
As long as, will you stand still? Pick up your hat. Go pick up your hat. Okay. Now, look. Then you'll go and peddle your popcorn and don't interrupt the act anymore?
Yes, sir.
All right. But you know, strange as it may seem, they give ball players nowadays very peculiar names.
Funny names?
Nicknames, pet names.
Not as funny as my name, Sebastian Dinwiddie.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Funnier than that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Now, on the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Do you know the fellas' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name on first base.
Who?
The fellow playing first base for St. Louis.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who is on first?
Well, what are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
Have you got a first baseman on first?
Certainly.
Then who's playing first?
Absolutely.
When you pay off the first baseman every month, who gets the money?
Every dollar of it. Why not? The man's entitled to it.
Who is?
Yes.
So who gets it?
Why shouldn't he? Sometimes his wife comes down and collects it.
Whose wife?
Yes. After all, the man earns it.
Who does?
Absolutely.
Well, what I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first base?
Oh, no. What is on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, don't change the players.
I'm not changing nobody.
Take it easy.
What's the guy's name on first base?
What's the guy's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third. We're not talking about him.
How did I get on third base?
You mentioned his name.
If I mention a third baseman's name, who did I say is playing third?
No, who's playing first?
Stay off of first, will you?
Well, what do you want me to do?
Now, what's the guy's name on third base?
What's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third.
There I go, back on third again.
Well, I can't change their names.
Will you please stay on third base, Mr. Broadhurst?
Now, what is it you want to know?
What is the fella's name on third base?
What is the fella's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base. You got an outfield?
Oh, sure.
St. Louis has got a good outfield?
Absolutely.
The left fielder's name?
Why?
I don't know. I just thought I'd ask you.
Well, I just thought I'd tell you.
Then tell me who's playing left field.
Who is playing first?
Stay out of the infield.
Don't mention their names out here.
I want to know what's the fella's name in left field.
What is on second?
Yeah, we don't have to watch it in its entirety, even though this is the most I've ever watched of it, and it's hilarious. That is to say, all right, let's watch some Chespirito. And see what we think. Best. Let's just see. Here. We're gonna see how good this is.
El programa número 1 de la televisión humorística, El Chavo. Interpretado por el super comediante Chespirito. Con Carlos Villagrán como Kiko. Ramón Valdés como Don Ramón. Florinda Mesa como Doña Florinda y como
Florinda.
Edgar Vivar como el señor Barriga.
Barriga.
Y como Ñoño. Y María Antonieta de las Nieves como la Chilindrina. Dirección, Enrique Segoviano.
Okay. Do you see like the similarities? You've got this backdrop and like two characters that are sort of just like diametrically opposed, where they have these like, I'm trying to do this, you're trying to do that, and we are immovable force versus like, so you can see the similarities, right? I'm not saying like one is knowingly having anything to do with the other. It's just we're all sort of connected in that way, right? We're not all just like connected next to each other. They talk about more in the biography. I would love to see. So did that come out yet? Is that the thing? You've made the Trailer is out. Okay, we've seen this. We've seen the trailer. We've seen the trailer. Here, let me finish off the little sketchy sketch. We're nearly done. We're nearly done. But that is the thing. We must continue to analyze the past to understand the future. Yes. June 5th. All right, this is good stuff. All right, here, crank up some music a little bit, and then we will. Let's finish this off. I don't know what I'm playing. It doesn't matter. It just goes to show that the human, it's like the audience evolves slowly, right? So I want to give you this encouraging advice, is that by if you can, think about what the Chespirito stuff, what about that is resonating with you, and how you can honor that within your project. I think that would be a advisable sort of course of action, right? It's resonating with you. You keep bringing it up, right? And it's got to be... You'll do references? Yeah. Do it, and like you can be sort of, you can be subtle about it, and you can also be you're very excited. Did you watch this show with you know, an older relative or someone you were close to? That must be the case, or it was just on, you know. When I was young, we had Saturday morning television, and then all day they would run reruns of I Love Lucy. And I watched a lot of I Love Lucy, especially when I was sick. Yeah. And then later on, like Maury Povich, his story motivates you to grind. Good. Okay, good. All right. Well then, good. This is all good stuff. That's good. I like a good grind story. The world is full of like instant success is just a click away. That is the scam of the universe. Send me your prayers and I will fulfill your fantasies. Like, that's not the I won't get behind that. But like in the vaudeville stuff, like those guys, you know, they lived their whole lives away from their families, grew up away from their children, rarely saw them, and then, you know, died early deaths. Nothing good. So when we think of like Charlie Chaplin, or Buster Keaton, those are sort of like extreme versions of vaudeville, but like took to the next level. But like physical comedy, you know, if you can, but the sort of dialogue comedy is great too. he inspired him. Yeah. Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton. Yeah. Yeah. He should. He kind of has that, like, kind of like deadpan, like. Like, what's the face? You know. Let me do this right. The guy who did the crazy stunts, that's Buster Keaton. That's Buster Keaton. That guy's the best. Buster Keaton. So Buster Keaton was an American, whereas Charlie Chaplin was British. It's about the only difference. Same niche. They, to me, have the same build and are interchangeable.
Hi, my name is Tony, and this is
Keystone Cops. So, Radford Studios, where they filmed all this stuff, that's down the street from me. Or the old Radford Studios is now CBS Studios. All this stuff is the history of my neighborhood. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And nearly 100 years later, I think he still has plenty to teach us about visual comedy. So today, let's take a look at
Here we go.
Keaton
Hold
believed
on.
that each gesture you did should be unique. Never do the same thing twice. Every single fall
Let's look at this.
is an opportunity
Did all these crazy stunts.
for creativity.
Hopefully we're talking about the
But
same
once you know
person.
the action, we come to the second problem. Where do you put the camera?
Look at this. Look at this. Real stuff.
Visual gags generally work best from one particular angle. And if you change the angle, then you're changing the gag, and it might not work as well. Finding the right angle is a matter of trial and error. So let's take a look at two possible
shit.
camera
Here, let me
placements
make
for the
this
same
big.
joke. Here's the first one. And here's the second. You'll notice in the first angle, the car takes up most of the frame, and we don't get a clear look at Buster until he turns around. But in the second angle, the car is placed in the background, and we always have a clear view of his face.
Shit.
This split second, where he doesn't know what's happening but we do, that's much better from over here. And in the first
Sorry.
angle, the framing splits our attention. Our eyes want to look at his face and the sign at the same time. But after reframing the scene,
Come on.
our eyes naturally look at him, then the sign,
Well, I don't understand
and
what
back to
happened.
him. Much better. Now we come to the third question. What are the rules of this particular world? Buster's world is flat and governed by one law. If the camera can't see it, then the characters can't see it either. In Buster's world, the characters are limited by the sides of the frame and by what's visible to us, the audience. And this allows him to do jokes that make sense visually, but not logically. A lot of his gags are about human movement in the flat world. He can go to the right, to the left, up, down, away from the lens, or towards it. Look familiar?
She's been murdered. And you think I did it.
Like Wes Anderson, Buster Keaton found humor in geometry.
Angel, yeah.
He often
Sweet
placed the
dreams. Go
camera
to bed.
further back so you could see the shape of a joke. There are circles, triangles,
Professor Max
parallel
is
lines,
blurting
and
out.
of course, the shape of the frame itself,
nonsense.
the rectangle. I think staging like this is great because it encourages the audience to look around the frame
funny
and
this
see the
stuff
humor for
is.
themselves. In this shot, think about where your eyes are looking.
I guess kind of what I mean, like,
Now where's he?
I mean, I just clicked on this random link, but it looks like a good analysis of like Buster Keaton as a director, storyteller, actor, stuntman, and everything in between. But he is like an original like vaudeville guy, and not like a guy like his parents were vaudeville actors. So the funny anecdote about Buster Keaton is that he his parents were actors in a troupe that was traveling around, and in this troupe, no, it's no distraction. This is all the education. This is the whole point. In the troupe of, and I like this Ninja Turtle sketch that we ended up with. So this is the good thing. This is gold. This is gold right here. Maybe I mess around with this a little bit, but this is good. That's a solid Ninja Turtle sketch. I'm happy with that. Whatever that is, it's good. Hey, Boxer. Classic Leo. Yeah, this is, sorry. But, yeah, the classic, so the story of Buster Keaton, like, his parents were, in a theater troupe that was traveling around America with none other than Harry Houdini, the famous magician of old. Harry fucking Houdini, like the amazing, right? So Houdini was hanging out with his parents, and young Buster Keaton, who couldn't have been more than like 5 years old or something like that, like, they were just hanging out, and like their kid like falls down a flight of stairs, and everybody, like, the kid just like tumbles. Everybody sees it, and everybody expects this kid to like just burst out in tears at the bottom of the stairs. And instead of that, he just stands up and looks at everybody, you know. It's like, oh, nothing happened. And Harry Houdini said, "What a buster," you know, as if it was like, that was unexpected, right? And so that was his characteristic, like, deadpan, like, whoa, did something crazy just happen? I didn't notice it. Whatever. That was like his shtick since he was like a kid, and it was within like the family legacy of this like vaudeville troupe. So that was that. Thanks to vaudeville, we have Buster Keaton, like Charlie Chaplin, all of that is like the anglicized, as sort of like the English version. He did have movies as well, yeah, for sure. But like the some of the earliest movies, right? But like the influences go before. So like Mickey Mouse, for instance, is a that's a cartoon version of like the Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton stereotype. This kind of small kind of guy that's up against like a big problem, and he uses visual gags to sort of sort it out. You know, that's where we get cartoons from, is this sort of vaudevillian solution. Yeah, the house falling out on him, or the train. Exactly. Charlie Chaplin did things like that. Buster Keaton was better by far. I'm a Buster Keaton guy, but Charlie Chaplin is no slouch. I love Charlie Chaplin, but there's nothing that is it's, I think if anything, gosh, there's so much stuff. Like, I want to click on all these links I see here on YouTube, but we don't need to do all that stuff. Yes, but like what you think of like Charlie Chaplin doing probably was actually Buster Keaton. And yeah, we all owe a debt to both of them. exactly. And so then when you talk about things like I Love Lucy or the Honeymooners or anything that was based on them, like the Honeymooners was a show, and then the Flintstones was a show, and the Flintstones is just a caveman version in cartoon form of the Honeymooners. And then the Jetsons is just a futuristic version of the Flintstones, right? So it's sort of like everything is just sort of building on the reference that came before it, right? That is to say that the most popular things are always just sort of built on the things that came before that were really good that people remember. What's your cartoon based on? I don't know. You've not given enough of the but like if you haven't based it on something, you could try, right? Jetsons meets their here comes an unnecessary, totally unnecessary cartoon crossover. Exactly. So I was literally at Universal Studios today. Oh, this is the thing. Here, let me bring this up. This is fun. This is fun. Because this is me. This is me right now. What happened? Here we go. Is it desktop? Oh, come on. I sent this over. What happened? Come on. I sent this. AirDrop. Send it all. Here, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Okay. And show and finder. There we go. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So here, look at this. I went to Universal Studios today. Shit. This is like the line to get into. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so like this is me. This is me. Look at I'm like in this stuff today. Here, this is me. Different hat. Universal Studios hat, right? Here's me outside the Mushroom Kingdom or whatever. Super Nintendo World. And this was just research to like be like, how do we make this real? Like, what is real? When something can't be real, but it. This is me at 10 a.m. and it was like 90 degrees. Look how noisy it is. God, look how old I am. Agreed. It is amazing at night. This is like just about to, yeah, this is me like in the line, me looking at like stars. The lighting is incredible. This is within like 40 minutes of the park opening, and like it was busy everywhere. I wish I liked the Mario Kart. Is that in LA? Yes, it is. It's 5 minutes from my house. I live in Studio City. It's 5 minutes from Universal. The headset thing just doesn't really work. It's not great. I agree. There are people complaining about it next to me. I dig it, but I enjoy the line to get in better than I do the actual. Yeah, standing in line for Mario Kart is better than the ride. I agree. That's why I went and I took these pictures. Look at this. You can see this picture of me like entering, and it just, this is kind of awesome. I'm like here, and it's like, shit, this is like a real, you feel like you're in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like you look out. 10 out of 10 line, 6 out of 10 ride. Perfect analogy. And here, yeah, I took it a nice. I was like, let's capture the essence of like going in, right? You know, but they scored the music perfectly and all this stuff, all the drama. And then you get in and it's like this Mario Kart ride, which is like, it's a good ride, but it's sort of like shoehorning one concept on top of another. You know, those YouTubers who just film the experience of going on rides? You should film all the best lines? I guess so. I guess that's the experience, but for me, it had a lot to do with like I wanted to feel the gets millions of views. I don't want no stinking views. So Boxer, the this drawing here, this was the I drew this sort of at the top of the stream without reference, trying to think of like what was the iconic pose I was trying to recapture. And then this was the one where we actually looked at the reference and captured it. So that was the intent. Okay, so that's the spiel. But the whole thing is that art evolves and we're all built on something. And Ninja Turtles felt like it came out of nowhere, but it didn't. It was based on very well established concepts that came previous to it, and people may not have even known that they were looking at a reskin when they were looking at it. And I think that's a good idea. Now, what else, though? You know, there's something about, you know, be original if you can. But don't worry about the homage to what's important to you. I think that would be the you know, I don't know what I'm doing with all this stuff, but what I am not doing is I'm not pretending like Ninja Turtles didn't play a foundational role in my artistic journey. Okay? I'm not pretending like Zelda and everything else did not play a foundational role in my artistic journey. It did, and that's okay. I don't have to. There's nothing wrong with being honest about one's inspirations. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. I wouldn't have been able to draw this from memory. No, this isn't great. But it's not the worst Ninja Turtle anybody's ever drawn. Especially after I probably haven't drawn one in 20 years. Right? So to go from that in just a couple minutes to this is not that bad. Right? Second one is a great adjustment. I think that captures what I intended. And we have the reference here. Or don't we? Jesus Christ. Well, we did. It's in the stream. It's in the stream. You know, you can go back and look at it. I think the point is to say that the it's a journey. You know, we don't need to. Yeah, it's falling apart. Everything sucks. You know. No, but this is good stuff. Here. It's past midnight now, and it's a bit of a sloppy stream. So, Boxer, I appreciate you popping in. Danny, thanks for keeping me company. Namina, I hope you are. Yeah, it's be right back. Yeah, it's be right back. Be right back tomorrow. And then Angel, definitely appreciate you lurking. And everybody go to bed. Anybody who else is listening, go to bed. Get some sleep, and keep practicing. Keep practicing art. All right. Here, I'll do a little Ninja Turtle 50-50. Ooh, yeah, I messed this up. I screwed up with my settings. Jeez. Sit up straight and go. Hiya, hiya. What? You know, I don't know. No, it's very bad. All right. It's like the worst. That constipated look. There you go. All right, that's enough. And still some wrinkles. Okay, catch you next time. Adios.